Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Fanservice, your live geek fuel trip into the world of pop culture, and we are kicking off the Fanboy TV block party. We've had too much fun just trying to get up to this point today, just so you know. Like, I'm not even wearing shoes, and
there are 5-8-hour energy drinks inside of me.
He lost a bet or something with, I don't know.
No, it's the summertime, but your mom and I are kind of sporting the Doctor, Mr. Doom.
Doctor Doom.
Dr. Doom from Judge Doom.
Yeah.
Judge Doom.
So we've got an amazing show lined up for you. Of course, we're missing somebody. Harley, we're calling you out next week.
Oh, girl, you're in for it now.
So I'm your host, Gavin Stone, joined by
Jeffrey.
And
I'm a back issue that you wanted, Pocky.
We wanted like the STDs?
No, you wanted back issues because it's that really cool one that has a hologram and it was really cool and you wanted it.
Since
I like the
when?
spiders. Oh, since the 90s, really.
We're way past the 90s.
I know.
All right, so today's topic, we're talking about the starter guide to the world of indie comics because self-publishing is such a great big thing these days, and we have a returning guest coming on with us. Drew Edwards of Halloweenman is back in the studio with us, and of course he's outdressing all of us. It's kind of sad. We need to up our game
Speak
up
for
here.
yourself.
Hey, I got a bow tie.
No, he's even making you look shameful.
Yeah. Oh well. Have you seen the man?
Yeah, he knows how to bring
suit.
So we're gonna have lots
Lurking
of fun.
in the shadows back there right now.
Let's start with our news of the week. Just because Robin really wanted us to talk about it. There's a new line of fashion dolls for the wrestling whatever they call themselves now.
It's WWE and it's the Glow line. It's the females of wrestling. No, fashion models. They're
like Barbie dolls for wrestlers.
Except they're like about this tall.
Who wants a doll that big?
Not about this tall.
Okay, dolls are a foot tall.
This is about, I think, 18
That is not a foot tall. This is like a foot
about
tall.
18 inches. About 18 inches.
You just went from a foot to 16 to 18 inches to 20 inches back down to 18 inches.
Anyways, Robin brought this up because she is really excited about them making dolls for wrestling. And we love Robin. She loves wrestling, so it's lots of fun. But next up, okay, this is my ridiculous story of the week. You ready for this one?
Yes.
God.
So we have to have one ridiculous story of the week.
This one has nothing to do with geekdom, but I thought this was really interesting. PETA is suing a photographer on behalf of a monkey who stole the photographer's camera to go take pictures that the man used as part of his book, saying since the monkey took it, the monkey owns it.
What?
And this is actually going through a court. Like, they're actually hearing this, like a monkey owns these pictures that he stole from someone's camera.
And you know where the money's going to go to, right? It's going to a PETA bank account.
It's going to go to that crazy vegan we had on It Came From the Internet last week.
Well, no.
Oh, my gosh.
No, it's going to go to the PETA bank account, which means they're just going to kill more innocent animals.
Here's the sad part, is this case is putting this photographer into bankruptcy.
Yep.
Because he's having to fight it. I don't know how someone's not saying, okay, you know what? This is the dumbest thing. Yes, this monkey stole this camera to take pictures, but he doesn't own it because he used your materials. Like, how is this even a thing?
It's pretty lengthy, actually.
Animal. It has no representation. It cannot speak.
Oh, PETA's representing, like, of all the stupid things PETA could do, let's sue a photographer for a monkey's antics.
Actually,
and put this photographer out of business.
Actually, they've also sued Nintendo over Mario.
They've done all sorts of stuff. I think this is probably, that's pretty dumb, but this is really, really dumb.
Also, they sued for Cooking Mama, so yeah.
All right, next up, big news of the week. The new Doctor Who has been revealed, and
Number 13.
It's a woman!
It's a lady.
I have no problem with this. I was hoping they would have picked Agent Carter.
I think
About damn time.
Really wanted Agent Carter to be it, but I think she'll be fine.
Oh.
But I love the internet backlash.
It's hilarious. I love it.
Did you see BBC's response? Like, BBC actually
Yeah, they're
responded.
like, just get over it.
Just get over it. They even, like, posted a meme where it's like, I forgive you. Like, David Tennant, when he's, like, at one point hugging, like, the master, he goes, I forgive you. He goes, to all the people who say they're going to leave us, but are really going to come back, we forgive you.
And then John Barrowman went to a convention, and he dressed up in a dress, a TARDIS dress, in celebration of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, people, come on, get over it. It's amazing. I've been waiting for a woman for the longest time.
Colin Baker, the sixth Doctor, he's approved of it.
Everybody's approved of it except the internet trolls.
Internet trolls.
Because we love internet trolls.
We do.
We love you.
But I think it's really sad that there's, I mean, of all the stupid things to complain about in the world today, Doctor Who's a female. We knew it was coming. I would have preferred Hayley Atwell, but whatever. I got tired of Capaldi. He just wasn't doing it for me anymore. He was the worst of the Doctors so far. I'm ready for something new.
I actually don't blame him. I blame the showrunner because the showrunner had an obsession with Claire. My thing was I would have loved to see Commander Phasma, the woman from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would have loved to seen her as the Doctor. Who we got is really, really good. She's been in 3 very, very good series. My only complaint is the outfit she's wearing is not the outfit she's going to be wearing for the series.
Who cares?
Who cares?
No,
Who
because-
cares? That's what the preview is. That is no. Stop it right there.
No.
Calm down.
Oh.
No. The only reason people are complaining is because they want to get ready for the cosplays.
No.
And since it's
Oh
not the real
darn! You got to
cosplay-
wait till she gets on a TV show to get
But
ready for a
it's a
cosplay.
good. Oh my.
That's what I was
gosh.
saying because it's such a good outfit. They were hoping that was the real outfit. And she goes, no, the real outfit's going to be later. So
It's a
it's not
trailer.
a bad thing,
It's
but
a trailer. Just let it go.
yeah.
Woman Doctor.
All right.
Awesome.
Woman
Next
Doctor.
up, this week was the launch of the Destiny 2 console beta, and it was amazing. I see Jack back there cheering. It's so good to. I've walked away from the game for a while. It was so good to get back in it. It's hard. It's different. It looks beautiful, and people are already trying to find ways to break it. Like, leave it to the gamer community to figure out ways to do things you're not supposed to do.
Well, it's also the speedrunning. It's every gaming community ever. It's your job to get this perfectly well crafted game and hit it with a hammer as hard as
The
you can.
problem is, I'm so used to the way my Warlock plays. It doesn't play that way anymore. Like
Aw.
my Princess Peach jump doesn't quite go as far, so I kept falling to my death. The guns are now rearranged, so I don't really have a heavy anymore. They're all the special weapons are the same thing, so I'm like, okay. However, it is 100% beautiful. I'm still afraid they're going to jack it up, but I have it pre-ordered. I'll be taking the day off of work to sit there and play it.
You pre-ordered it when they announced it. Don't even.
I
forget.
did. I have the messenger bag one. So I
Oh
am
my
completely
gosh.
set and ready to go.
This is
My
gonna be a
friends in
game-
San Antonio are ready to go.
This is
You're not
be
going
the
to play
game.
with me.
Okay, good.
I'm not gonna play
I
with
I guess, yeah. I kind of like stopped playing games with you.
Yeah, because he plays them at 2 o'clock in the morning, which I call the wine excuse.
Wait, but you're Stephanie's
Do we need
laughing
to
right
explain
now.
the wine excuse?
No, we
Stephanie
don't.
gets the wine excuse.
No, please don't. Please
No,
don't.
no, no. Because
Please
I
don't.
have to have an embarrassing picture on today. We have to.
No,
show you
no, I have
story.
embarrassing photos that I
No,
will share.
this
Please.
story.
Okay?
One
so
day you will
I
hear
got-
the wine story.
So right now we also got an
Did you?
update to the Kermit the Frog
Yes,
story.
the
That
Kermit the
happened
Frog story. Turns out the dude was an ass.
Yes.
He didn't want to work with them. He had that ego that, hey, I'm Kermit the Frog, whatever. They finally just had enough of it.
Apparently it wasn't that. He was apparently very, very rude to new cast
Yeah,
members.
he had an ego.
Yeah, he had.
If any of you get an ego, I'm getting rid of you in a heartbeat. Just so you know, Jack's laughing because he thinks I'm lying. Came in going, what ego?
I just have to say there are people who aren't here anymore behind the camera. There's a reason why.
Yeah.
Oh Gosh.
So that was our update to that story, and so that's it for this week's. Wait, you had one.
I do. Oh, did you hear about Netflix? They're rebooting. They're going to be rebooting Charmed, and it's coming up back with the original cast.
Someone just died back there.
Yeah, it's coming back with the original cast. It's just got released a while ago, and Netflix
So it's
is
gonna be
gonna
like
Wait,
Gilmore
it's a
Years, but
reboot?
Charmed.
pretty much. It's
Hey,
a
we're actually
reboot,
witches
but
now.
it's the original cast, the original Charm girls.
So are they all like before they enter like menopause and before they enter the retirement home, they're gonna go save the world?
It's gonna be the Golden Girls of freaking Charmed going on. Like,
Look, I'm
did
not
you remember to
making-
add the Eye of Newt?
I mean, we have to admit
Toad
the
the
woman,
frog. What?
the woman, who- what,
And
what
the
this
white
is-
lady.
exactly. One of the actresses was a teenager in the 1980s with Who's the Boss, and
You know what?
You know what? It's fine.
I'm all for it. Bring it back.
because we
they better
just
have
had-
some like geriatric jokes.
I'm
going
just happy they're bringing back the original cast, which is cool by me. But rebooting it, we'll see where it goes. It's
Why
Netflix
not
after all, though.
just say? Why not just do a sequel? Just say, hey, here's some further.
because it works so
advent-
well for Fuller House.
Well, yeah, actually it did. Apparently it worked well enough to get a season
Have
2.
you watched that show?
Well,
They're
it
just
wasn't-
throwing money out because they're probably contractually obliged to at this point in
Oh.
time.
Well, that or they're afraid of the
word.
Camerons.
Who? Oh my God! How could you be afraid of the Camerons?
Because
What are they
he
gonna do?
has the
Throw
seven-
crosses at you? I mean, come on.
Because he has the 700 Club people behind him, so he'll probably like threaten
No,
them.
respectful Christians would understand. The crazy ones are the ones who will cause problems.
Right, and those are the ones who are the loudest. So
Crazy
next
people.
up is Geek versus Geek,
Yeah.
and we'll have more debates.
So the fun with Geek versus Geek this week is Pocky gets to come back to being the judge, and this is
Finally.
a battle between myself and Jeffrey over the biggest thing wrong with comics these days. So let's get ready for Geek versus Geek.
Stay tuned.
Come on. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. Welcome to
Judge,
Geek.
Judge.
Welcome to Geek versus Geek, where we have to pit our own geeky hosts against one another to decide the outcome of our great debate. What is this great debate for this week? Well, my friends, it is what is wrong with the comic book industry right now. So, what is, or I guess what I'd say is the biggest issues, because someone has to be punny. with the comic book industry right now.
How is it okay for Stephanie to be punny but not me?
Because someone's more adorable than you. All right. So I'm going to start off 1 minute.
Hold on. We gotta do our intros first.
I will say 1 minute intros, 1 minute rebuttal, 1 minute final. Then I will decide who wins. I haven't decided yet. So in this case, we will start with Gavin.
All right.
Starting now.
That was forever to like break right there.
3
Okay,
seconds.
so my biggest issue with comics is there's no repercussions. People die, they get resurrected. Heroes want to go away, they always bring them back. World-changing events don't last. My biggest issue with comics is they don't grow and there's no actual repercussions in anything that you read in mainstream comics. You have Spider-Man for 50 years. You've got Batman for 50 years. They don't move on. I think comics should be set in a real-world situation where your heroes will grow up and grow old and your kids can share those but have their own heroes and things actually have a real consequence. So, you know, if they're killing Superman, he's done. You're not going to bring him back a couple issues later because that's what they do with absolutely everything that happens in comics these days. And I think that is the one thing holding it back from going to the next level. Boom!
Oh, wow. With 10 seconds left to spare. So with 10
Because he's
left.
probably going to need the extra 10 seconds. But he doesn't get it.
Probably. But now, Jeffrey's turn. You need to be respectful because he's wearing the mouse. So we got to be respectful.
I'm wearing what?
The mouse.
And a bow tie.
The mouse and the bow tie.
Because you know the bow tie means he means business.
So, get going.
Okay, so basically you have the recurring stories of comic books all the time. You know, you're right about you have all the superheroes dying, coming back, a couple issues and such like that. But you're looking at all these storylines, and it's just the same storyline over and over and over and over and over again. Let's do something. Let's have it to where like the moon blows up and they have to go and live on a different planet or something. It's just recurring stories that you're reading and everything. It's no real. I want to see something different. I want to see, we got parallel different dimensions and everything else like that. But it's just, I'm going back and reading comics and it's just the same thing over and over. I'm just kind of done with it. Comic books nowadays, I read one thing, I read one comic, another comic, and it's just recurring story. And it's just a repeat after repeat after repeat. I'm kind of getting done with it.
Are you repeating it?
I'm repeating it.
Gonna repeat it. We got repeats. So, like a summer doldrum, we had repeats, but now go on to Gavin Stone with your main subject, starting now.
You're right. The repeating factor is something that's really holding it back because they have to keep insisting on rebooting the stories for newer generations and changing things. They're still following the same tropes. They're not letting things go. Yeah, let them go move to the moon. They're going to move right back. That's the way comic creators go because there's such a rabid fan base that won't let things change, won't let things stay in stone. There's a fact of the matter that, you know what? There could never be another Spider-Man. That was a freak accident. So let Spider-Man grow old and die like they did in Earth X and move on to other heroes. But no, they want to keep coming back and doing alternate Spider-Mans. Now you got Spider-Gwen in alternate universe. You've got Miles Morales going on. You've got all these other ones. Superman is the prime example. The biggest event in comic history was when they killed Superman. They brought in 4 replacements, and then he came back from the dead as Superman Blue, which I happen to love. But they changed it because people hated it. Like, seriously, we need to just start letting comics have fun and evolve with us so our stories aren't the same stories our kids and their kids are going to be telling time and time and time and time and time again.
Done. Exactly on the button. I'm impressed.
Boop.
Beep. Boop. All right. You get to go. No.
What? Oh.
No.
You know, you are correct about that. But, you know, it's just like, you're going to grow old, die young, whatever. It's just, that's another repeating story. It's just, everything I'm seeing that's coming back in comic books is just, you see it, oh wait, that sounds so familiar. Why does it sound so familiar? And you go back, and it's just like, why? It's just, I really, you know, it's the parallel universes and everything are really great and such like that. But it's just ridiculous. You go to the comic book store, you're looking at the comic books, you think this is really great. The only thing that's really different is the illustrations and the writing. It's all the same stuff, but just different concepts. I just can't stand it anymore, and I'm just kind of getting done with comic books because I'm tired of reading the same things. You're right. Yeah, the Spider-Man, this and this and this, freak accident. Superman, that was a really big thing. And, you know, the one thing I'm getting really tired of is, like, seeing Batman, who's always, no, we gotta let justice take its stand. Dude, just freaking kill someone already. Seriously.
Done.
This has been way too easy.
Yeah.
So, much like easy, now it's time for Gavin.
My closing argument. Yeah, you want to complain about rehashing storylines, but you know what? They're selling. People are buying the same comics over and over and over again, and that's feeding this culture of inability for comics to actually grow. That's why the indie scene, I think, is so important today, because they're taking the chances, and they're letting things evolve and come and just be what they need to be. That's what I think needs to happen to the comic industry as a whole. There needs to be a major overhaul. Let comics exist in a comic reality where there are real consequences, so you fall in love and you're involved more than, oh, well, I know he's going to be back 3 episodes from now. I think that's what... I think comics are stagnant right now. I think they're really just... You're right. There's a point where we're the same thing over again, just a different hero. Let's try a completely new approach. That's my ending argument.
That's your ending argument, which is perfectly in time. Guess what? Your ending argument. Explain to us why repeating is bad.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I'm really going to have to agree on you this. And I really do think that Geeky versus Geek, I think Gavin actually won on this whole entire concept.
What?
Because I'm actually right now going to forfeit, because I'm going to be agreeing with you on every
That's
single
our
subject
first
in line.
forfeit ever.
That is the first forfeit. So,
Wait, I don't get to judge?
sorry. But Gavin Stone, congratulations.
I win again. I'm getting really good at this. I'm getting really good at this.
I
So,
agree
you
with
know,
you.
But
on-
I want to know what Pocky thinks.
yeah, what would you think?
I agree with you as far as the repeating. The fact that we have a Secret Wars 2, we just finished the Secret Wars. We had Secret Wars 2. We had a Civil War. With you, I totally agree. I mean, when they killed Captain America,
Ugh.
the first comment, literally,
Which time? They killed him like 5 times.
it was after the Civil War, the first Civil War, because they're doing Civil War 2 now.
I think that was death number 3,
Yeah.
maybe.
Something
well,
like that.
but I mean, I agree. The death of somebody doesn't matter. The running gag was how long is it until like we reveal he wasn't really shot or whatever, or we get the clone or whatever it happened to be.
Don't even start down the clone saga.
Actually, that's actually one of the only stories they're not allowed to repeat.
Because it was that bad.
J. Michael Straczynski actually said that if they made him right for the clones, he would run out. And yes, Gavin, you totally win this one, because yes, the biggest thing that's killing the comic book industry right now is the fact that there is no sticking point, and the only time there is a sticking point is if they do a massive change, like they brought Miles Morales into Marvel's main universe because actually he was too popular.
But that's the problem.
He
We're not
was.
getting enough brand new characters, and I think that's another huge issue. We had this, whatever the age was, where they were characters every week. Now we're getting nothing.
I think
And
this
that's
is
complete. That is completely true. You're looking at all right. We got a lot of Marvel stuff coming out. They have all these superheroes, but you're really kind of not.
There's nothing
everyone's-
new.
Yeah, there's no new. Everyone gets all these old school. It's really great, but it's just like, come on. Where's the new concepts? Where's the new
I need
storylines? Where's
confetti
the
cannons
new?
every time I win now.
Oh,
No,
exactly.
it's not.
But you know, I
we
gotta
were cleaning
say,
confetti last time you had a confetti cannon. We were cleaning it out for 2
It was still in
years.
the rafters.
but
a year later.
I gotta say, with this kind of subject, it's a little hard. It's a little hard, picking which side to go for, which not, because we're gonna butt heads with it. And I think you had a really good pinpoint. You executed really well. So thank you.
I think what we should do is get away from Geek versus Geek, step away, get our special guests in right now, and continue this debate on why the indie scene seems to be getting it right, and the main industry seems to be catering to movies.
All right,
So-
we'll be right back after this.
Check us out.
All right,
Hello.
welcome back to the show, everyone. So we're joined by an alumni of the
Halloweenman.
show,
Yeah.
Drew Edwards, and this time we're not talking about monster porn,
I promise not to talk about sharpened wooden dildos.
because we were talking about indie comics this week, and we thought, who better to bring on someone than someone we know who does a very successful indie comic. I'm going to say that. I don't know if it's true or not, but
No,
I
it's
love
true.
Halloweenman because I love Halloween, and I like indie comics. So I got to ask you, what did you think about our Geek versus Geek?
Okay, I don't think the problem with specifically, you said comics. What you mean is the big two. You
Yes,
mean
the
Marvel.
mainstream
That
comics.
is not my problem with the debate. Is basically one of wording at that point, because that's just the big two. That's mainstream comics. That's not
Yeah.
all of comics, and it's a very common misconception. Hopefully, something we can deal with today.
Yes.
I don't actually think there is anything wrong with corporate comics paying attention to their bottom line. These are things that are out to put out. They're basically made to make money. These are not art. These are pop culture. That's fine.
See,
I love mainstream comics.
Because they
Comics
both.
should be art.
Comics are art. Independent comics are
Yes.
art. Sometimes mainstream comics are art. Like you have something like All-Star Superman. You have something like The Dark Knight Returns, which are very artistic.
Yeah.
But it's still lots of jobs right on Superman. Lots of jobs right on Batman. That's fine. It's okay. It's okay for these characters to exist in these cycles. I've never been one to disagree with that. However, if you want some of the things that you're looking for, if you want characters that actually change, if you want different kinds of genres, if you want chances to actually be chances, if you want characters that grow and actually stay different, come to independent comics. We love you more.
That's why we brought him on. So let's tell everyone how you started into the world of indie comics. Like, what was your driving force to say, you know what, I'm going to do Halloweenman, screw everybody else?
Well, I was actually hired years ago by a company called Maximum Comics and
I
Games.
remember them.
Yeah, they were publishing a superhero RPG called Nemesis, and
I also remember that. So I was
Yeah.
gonna say that this is where I go. I remember that.
so they wanted to create a line of comics based off of the different types of characters they had in the game. I was assigned, because I am a horror aficionado, I was hired the supernatural template. So I was racking my brain to come up with a supernatural hero and thinking about all the different types of monsters I grew up loving, because I love monsters. And I remember driving around in my car and I was listening to an old Misfits CD over and over and over again on a loop, and I was here listening to their song Halloween. And about the 5th or 6th time driving around my block, I heard Halloweenman, and I was like, that's a great name for a superhero. So from then on out, I was like, okay, what's not being done a lot at this point in time? Ironically, that was zombies. So
Oh, now.
oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Thanks,
So totally
Walking
different.
Dead.
Here we are 20 years from now, and it's a completely different ballgame. But initially, I actually like werewolf movies more than I like zombie movies. I do like zombie movies, but I like werewolf movies more. So initially I was like, I'll make him half werewolf. I'll kind of spoof Blade. That was hip at the time. And then I was like, no, let's do a zombie. I want to actually explore this idea of like a hero that actually eats his villains, and he has to. And like, let's deal with the moral ramifications of that. But I also wanted to make it a Beauty and the Beast story. So, I invented the girlfriend character, which was Lucy, who was kind of like a female Doc Savage type. Yeah. And, I turned this in to Malcolm Harris, who was the publisher, and he really liked it, and we started developing it. And further down, closer to the point where we're actually going to get published, I was in a car accident that killed my twin brother. And when I came out on the other end of that, I was looking at this character who had scars on his face and was broken. And I myself was feeling broken. And I started writing these scripts, and it was less of a gig, and it was more
Therapy.
It was therapy. It had become therapy. And I went to Malcolm, and I was like, look, I love you, man. You gave me my start in the industry. I will always have a place in my heart for you. But I have to strike out on my own. And I started doing it as a webcomic. And, I started going to conventions, and I found artists with like-minded sensibilities. And I developed the characters, and over the years I did print versions. And what I found is like the things that spoke to, this sadness in me, which it's funny because everybody reads this comic and they think about it being a fun and funny comic. But for me, it was like getting through every day. This is how I dealt with this pain that I was feeling, this pain of feeling damaged, of feeling like a monster. And I put that into it, and I found that there was other people that really responded to that. And, it's funny, like initially, and you talk about like maybe, a paid gig can become art. This is an example of that, because I took it from the company. They were like, no, Drew, we understand. You take this. You go do what you have to do. And I still speak with Malcolm. We're on good terms. He still does stuff. But it became a passion project, as you said.
So it's interesting here you talk about the origin of it, because was it daunting when you're like, okay, I'm going to do this indie project, and we live in a world now where it's pretty easy because you can self-publish whatever you want. There's book sites, there's game sites, there's all that stuff. But when you started, was it that big of a thing, or did you really have to try to figure this out?
Well, I was reading all the books by Scott McCloud, particularly the one that really inspired me was Reinventing Comics, and she was really pushing web comics, which were kind of a new thing at the time. And at that point, it was I often say this, it's basically the Wild West. Like, you could do whatever you want.
Penny Arcade, PvP.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of webcomics I've
Yeah,
read.
yeah. Like, nowadays, there's a much more conceived notion of what a webcomic could be because we kind of know what works, which is, gag strips. That's really
it's
the
like
strength
3
of-
panels,
Yeah.
tops, you're good to go.
But at
Well,
that
some of them.
Yeah. At that point in time, I was like, "You want to do like a Marvel style adventure comic? Yeah, let's do this." So, I was initially like putting it up on the web, and that was nice because if I had just tried to print it up, I would have been limited to local cons. However, when I was putting it up on the web, my audience was global. I had the exact same punching weight as any of the Marvel books, and I didn't have any editor going, "Oh no, you hit below your projected sales this month. You're done." It was like, no, as long as I had the will to survive, I was going to survive.
I have to say when we're talking about some of the big two being it, and then we have like more than just the big two. We have we have Dark Horse, and we have IDW, and IDW to me is they're the biggest indie company I can think of.
But they're the ones doing the bat guano crazy stuff. Like, here's Ninja Turtles,
yeah,
Power Rangers, and Ghostbusters thrown in.
Okay. I want to quantify, not because I love their Ghostbusters comics.
Yeah.
I just did an interview with the creative team on the Ghostbusters comics a while back. Like, they're great. IDW is not an indie comic company. They are a small publisher. That is a common misconception. They put out some creator-owned stuff. Creator-owned is not the same as indie. They put out a lot of licensed stuff, Power Rangers, Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles, and that stuff's great. But the same thing, like calling Vertigo, Image, like all these things which are large corporate entities at this point, or even in IDW's case, a smaller business, indie, is kind of a misappropriation of the term.
Was it the last big corporation indie one, like Cliffhanger?
I would say that's probably fair, and I think when Image started, it was fair to call them an indie company. But when you have something like The Walking Dead, which is based off of one of their books, which is literally pulling in millions of viewers, and then they reprint those comics into magazines, and they go out to literally every grocery store and every shopping mall. That is the epitome of mainstream.
So, but if they approach their comics from the indie mentality, like, you get to do what you want to do, we're not going to really oversight it, do you still call it mainstream, or do you want to call it indie? Because are we classifying indie as I do it myself, I go to like the Staple Media Expo, it's printed here, but with things like Cliffhanger, like, it's a creator-owned company, do what you want to do.
or Boom, or
Like-
a couple of the other ones, yeah.
I can only define indie how I define it.
Mhm.
It's a nebulous term. A lot of people define it different ways, and if I sound a little up my own ass about it, can I say that?
Yes, because I have a feeling your view and my view is the exact same. Because I
Yeah.
don't think anything that's mainstream, like any of those that you can pick up at Dragon's Lair main comics, I don't consider as indie.
Yeah, but I mean the Dragon's Lair is a weird oddity because we even have to admit like
But they have a section of indie comics, so
right, but
let's get to what you consider it.
I consider indie comics something that the creator has put their own capital in, or their own money. They raise the money themselves. They put their own money behind advertising and paying their creative team, which is what I do. And I bust my ass to put out every single issue. And, my dime is the one that's on the line. And every dollar counts, and every fan counts.
Yeah.
When I say I want you more than Marvel and DC, it's true. Marvel and DC lose a reader, they're probably going to find more people that want to read X-Men. They're going to probably find more people that want to
Yeah.
read Spider-Man. Those characters are not in danger. Even if, look, let's be realistic, even if Marvel decided to fold up their publishing, Spider-Man ain't going anywhere.
No.
Uh,
So if someone's brand new wanted to start in the indie industry, what would be your best advice to give them? Because people think, oh, look at the web, it's so easy. Look at all these things people do. How hard could it possibly be?
My advice, first of all, refine your concept as much as you can. Like, bounce it off of somebody else. Because I look back at my early issues of Halloweenman, and I'm embarrassed. They're very amateurish.
I look back at our early episodes of Fanservice on the same
Yeah.
way.
I still look exactly the same.
But as far as the publishing goes, I think Comixology is the best thing out there. You can get your work out in front of a large vast, and I mean vast. I have fans in Japan. I have fans in Australia. You know, like can get that in a global audience, but unlike with webcomics, when you're sort of reliant on advertisers, if you can get them, or people donating money,
Yeah.
you can actually make money off of Comixology. And you know, now I've even gone I'm comics, like the first 3 issues of Halloweenman are on Comixology Unlimited, and that's an even cooler thing because like I have this deeper partnership with Comixology. Like they are invested in seeing you succeed. So it's sort of a digital age variation on how Image started out, and I
Yeah.
think that there's something very liberating about that. They don't tell me about my content. They don't like say, like the only thing that they set is like, this is the rating of the content, which I have a 15 and up rating, and they say, okay, this is you know where you need to be, and they judge the quality. So when I say refine, they want something that looks professional. They want something that's not amateurish.
Yeah.
But other than that, they kind of leave you alone to do your own thing.
And I love that. I love the fact that creators can just be free to do what they want to do. Like, I don't want to stifle anybody on this crew, so I always encourage them to do their shows. But you had something.
I did.
Yeah, you were looking at me like you had something to say.
Oh, I was just thinking like with the web, I think the bigger problem with now is now that like, and I would say I've heard this before, was everyone has a voice. I think the biggest problem people have now is to get their voice heard. I mean, you know, the whole, you know, like, yes, your content will be like, we're having trouble right now getting our voice heard.
But
I
see,
mean,
I've seen this man hustle at conventions.
right, that's
so-
true. But I'm talking about just being on the web.
I
mean-
hustle on I hustle on the web too.
Yes.
Like have you seen me on Facebook? I'm a beast.
Yeah.
But that's an all necessary part of the business. Like if you want to, because the thing about comics, almost everybody who is a fan of comics would like to make a comic. So you're literally almost, no offense to any of y'all, you're almost competing with your own fan base. Like, cause they're just ready to come up and kick you in the ass and knock you over. So you have to stay on your game. You have to be good. You have to hustle. You have to promote. And you have to really find your niche, you know, and really play to that. Or I would say multiple niches in some ways, because that's like the one thing about digital that's really changed the game, is that like if you have something that appeals to like a certain segment of the populace or several small groups, you can have a pretty solid fan base and make a decent you know, return on your game.
Yeah.
See, and he brings up a good point. You know, if we were back in the start of the game, it would have been so easy. But now, everyone with a camera, everyone with a scanner, everyone with a drawing pad is putting stuff out there. And it's been told me before, there's no more gatekeepers. So, literally, you want to do it? Like, there's that dude who writes those 90-page weird erotica, like, rammed in the butt by my jumbo plane. It's got, like, a face, like, anything, everything
my
out
butt
there.
had sex with my butt
Yeah.
raped me, yes.
It is, so there's a flood of stuff out there, and sometimes it gets really hard to find something, which is why he's saying you have to hustle the crap out of stuff just so you get noticed. We've been doing this for 4 years, and we're still hustling to get to where we are.
Well,
No, sorry, you go ahead.
the thing is about that is, you know, exactly what you're saying is true. Like, people have a hard time. This is the flip side of that. It's great that the lunatics are in charge of the asylum. I think that's awesome. But the flip side of that is fans have a hard time telling the difference between something that is quality and something that is amateurish. Even something that is semi-established, like what I'm doing, you know, like, which is why they tend to go back to Marvel and DC, because they know it'll be of a certain polished quality. While sometimes
it's familiarity to
Yeah.
them. That's what it is. They know the stories, they know the characters, because you can get burned in the indie world. You can go find something that you're not even, it's not what you thought at all what it was, and then you go back to what's safe.
Right, I think a part of this is also the fact that, and I'm not, nothing against you. I don't want you to think of what I'm about to say is toward you. So, which is, a lot of indie guys are really good artists and really good writers. People, this is why I'm saying not you. They're not people. So when they have someone go, you know what, your artwork sucks, and then they flip the table and they get angry, and you see the 9-page, you see it on Gawker later on, the gigantic rants, like, artist has mental breakdown, insults entire Twitter feed, like, all at once, refers to Hitler. And it's like, you see that so many times with like gamers, you see it with comic book people, you've seen it all the time, where people just have these breakdowns, and they don't learn how to be people, which sounds weird.
Well, it's also the fact that you can't grow unless you get your critiques and know
Right.
what's working. That's how we've gotten to where we are.
Right.
I listen to every critique. But we live in a world where people want instant gratification. Their entire self-worth is from online. So I think if you're doing an indie comic and you're passed so much into it that is your self-worth and someone doesn't like it, you feel like you've wasted your time.
The relationship that I have had with fans, where I have actually gone online and talked about this, in fact I even wrote an entire column about this, is that I find that when people see me out in the world doing normal things, like particularly my day job,
Yes.
which I have one and I'm not ashamed to say it, they get disappointed because they're like, whoa, I thought you were this rock star comic book creator and here you are doing a normal thing. You led me on. And I was like, I have to make money to make this thing exist
So that
somehow.
you can enjoy it.
Yeah, you know,
There's-
it's
He gets trolls too. I love
Yeah.
trolls. We play with trolls all the time on this show.
And we've actually even dealt with, I would say, other indie or other people who you don't think would have a day job. It's like, but you're this person. Yeah, but I have to do this because this doesn't completely pay my bills. And
It's
kind of,
because everything is glorified. No one thinks about all the hard work that goes into something. Like just the show alone, the hours and hours and hours a week, even months ahead of time that go into planning it. How many hours go into just planning out, trying to lay out the right layout for Halloweenman so it's appealing? Like, how are you going to get everything put in there? No one thinks about all that. They just think about, ooh, we're going to make all this money and live the high life. And I blame reality TV for that.
I also blame sitcoms.
And monster porn.
you bring up monster porn once on a TV show.
That was my favorite.
Awesome. But no, I also blame some of the sitcoms. It's not even reality TV. It's like Big Bang Theory. How many they show those guys have? I mean this in a bad way.
You think that nerds make so much money watching that show?
Yeah,
You know their
do.
rent in that apartment is outrageous. It's like 3 times the cost of my mortgage.
Right, and it's like it. You see Hollywood, and you see the reality shows, or you see these sitcoms. It's like, I'm a theoretical physicist. Okay, why aren't you at your job? Because theoretically, you need to be working on a math problem right now. 'cause you should be saying-
Theoretical physicist. That's
Yeah.
funny. So it was been great having you come on, talk about
thank
your
you. Thank
journey
you for
into
having
Indie World
me.
Comics. Tell everyone where they can find you online.
Okay, you can look me up on Comixology. You search for either Sugar Skull Media, that is the publisher, and you can search for Halloweenman. That will take you to one of 2 series. It'll be either Halloweenman Special or Halloweenman, which is the ongoing. We have new issues of both of those coming up very soon. Or you can just look us up at www.halloweenman, that's all one word, .com.
Plus, you're part of a pretty awesome podcast.
I am part of the Castle of Horror podcast, and we actually just came back for our summer series. We are doing the Creature from the Black Lagoon trilogy.
I love this. Like, I sat in for him one time. I was way out of my league. I was like, these guys know like this stuff. I know most of it, but they knew like the history in depth. I was like, yeah, this is
We
an
are
awesome
big,
podcast.
big nerds. And I should also finally mention, I am the editor-in-chief of HorrorMovies.net, and we actually just posted our review of the new Castlevania
Which was
series.
awesome.
Yeah, how cool was that?
Like, I was so mad it was 4 episodes. They should have done this as a movie. Like, this was the biggest dick move Netflix.
because
Come on now.
it's not. They're doing it like the video game. It's
and plus,
great.
they had no wooden dildos that were sharp. There's no way to kill vampires.
All right, so
and
we're gonna
Alucard wasn't sparkly.
Yeah.
we're gonna no because Eddie likes Twilight. Let's not forget that he brought that up on that show. So that's been it for this talk. We'll have. I drew a blank on her name again.
Drew Edwards.
Drew Edwards.
No pun
I was about to
intended.
call you Edward again, Andrew again. We'll have back on the end of the show, but right now it's time for this week's 10 Things, where Pocky and Jeffrey are going to be taking on the biggest things in superhero comics that would fail in epic reality.
Yes.
So here comes our 10 things.
Well, yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome back to 10 Things. We're hoping you're enjoying the show so far.
I know I am.
Oh, also, real quick, those who are following our Facebook stuff, baby photos will be posted on our website in within a week, so keep an eye out for that.
Mine won't be a baby photo. Mine will be me without a beard.
It's
Slightly more terrifying.
And you
actually.
have a mullet, right?
Yes.
I love
The
it.
90s happened.
Yeah, but let me tell you, the photos we have for Gavin are priceless.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
So our top 10 list is the top 10 things in comic books that really wouldn't work very well, either in reality or actually just in general. This is sort of like the worst kind of concept, or would be a really good Mythbusters episode. Your choice.
yeah, pretty much.
So number 10 is Jeffries.
So flight. Seriously, we can't fly. I want to fly, but we can't fly. Why can we not fly? Why do we come up with these imaginative things that we can never do? Why? I want to fly. I want to take my enemy up in the air and drop him 10,000 feet from the sky.
I think it's also the fact that at certain points the altitude, the air gets colder, thinner. You start losing oxygen. Also,
gravity
forward
sucks.
momentum. Yeah, forward. What happens also when you fall asleep? You're just flying, and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, that food. I shouldn't have had too much burrito food. Oh, now I'm dead.
That's terrible.
I know.
Let's
I'm
go to number
horrible.
9. This one's
Number
a good
9 is
one.
mine. X-ray vision. Now, X-rays do not work the way that Superman tells you. Also, if you use X-ray vision, like let's say I do this, and I go, Jeffrey, nice.
I feel so exposed right now.
Also, I've just sterilized him and exposed him to high levels of radiation that will probably give him cancer. X-ray vision doesn't work like that. Also, X-ray vision doesn't really work that well on buildings. What you would see is this horrible cloudy mess that looks like bad pea soup, and at most you'd basically see is really bad shadows when it comes to clothing. Also, sterilization. That happens.
And if you ever get X-ray vision, remind me to wear lots of lead so you can't see
Also,
through it.
again, we're giving lead poisoning to the entire staff.
Yeah,
Who
exactly.
says I don't have X-ray vision?
So here's another one. Super strength. Even though that there's been some world-breaking records way out there, super strength.
Jason Momoa.
Let me tell you though, super strength, it doesn't really happen. You can't lift up. You can't stop a meteor because you can't fly, so you can't stop a meteor from hitting the Earth. You can't stop a moving train, but you can still pull a plane if it's on wheels.
Also, you stop a moving train, the forward velocity plus your impact equals you all over the floor.
What he said.
Also, just to let you know, super strength. Also, try to imagine you accidentally hug somebody. You're like, man, I love you, girl.
Hashtag also dead.
Dead.
Just like
Yes.
the other
Like
X-ray
this.
and the flying.
Yes.
All these lead to death. I
Right.
don't like these superpowers.
So,
I love these superpowers.
Now, one that won't lead to death but will lead to awkwardness is my number 7, which is invincibility. Now, we all see Superman. Hold on, hear me out. See, there's a great role-playing game called Mutant City Blues, which talks about invincibility. The problem with invincibility is this: if I was to shoot Jeffrey, Jeffrey won't feel it. Correct? That's
was
how
that?
invincibility works. So
What?
here's the problem: Jeffrey also wouldn't be able to feel his loved one touching him, or a dog kissing, or anything. You wouldn't feel anything. It'd be like this wall. You'd be in a bubble for the rest of your natural existence, not able to feel the loving touch of another. But you are bulletproof, so
Hashtag also my life sucks.
right. So you will be bulletproof, but unfortunately, you won't feel the sun warming your body or your lover sitting next to you. Suppressing and sad.
Pretty much.
Hashtag sad. Hashtag number 6.
Hashtag rich vigilantes.
Top 1% my butt.
You know what? I'm gonna let you take this one. You wanted to take this, so go ahead.
No, it's all yours.
All right, fine. Rich vigilantes. Seriously, superheroes, villains, all rich and powerful. Blah 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 blah. They're not going out there saving the world.
They will go out
There's
there.
a lot of rich people out there, and a lot of them are not doing jack squat. Hashtag also I hate you all for being so richer than I.
Also,
Hashtag we're poor.
Also, to be fair, if they were super rich and they were going to commit villainy, would they really do it themselves? Lex Luthor needs to learn how to do micromanagement.
And technically, hashtag also, we already have a rich vigilante. And he's in power.
No,
and he's
it-
being a jerk.
No, he's not a vigilante. He's a supervillain.
Oh, that's right, supervillain.
Because even Lex Luthor sold his company.
Yeah,
So,
Lex
getting out of
Luthor
politics.
is better than you.
So-
All right.
so you
hashtag
went-
also number 5.
Hashtag also number 5. Junior superheroes. Children superheroes. Okay, if we thought rich superheroes were a bad idea, wait till you get to the kids. Children are obnoxious little brats, full of snot and only want one thing: cookies and getting their way. Add super strength and vulnerability, heat vision, all sorts of superpowers to them. And what do you have? You have a disaster for a nightmare. Remember that episode of the Twilight Zone?
Babysitting's gonna suck.
Yeah, you remember that episode of the Twilight Zone where the kid had mind powers and could change reality, and the entire town was basically subjugated to his whims and wills? Well, that would happen. Except now imagine a national level. Imagine Superman as an 8-year-old child throwing a temper tantrum, and Smallville becoming a small crater amongst the way. Junior superheroes are not just unrealistic, they're also kind of dangerous and the worst things ever. Think like, a couple animes, and you'll know what I'm talking about. It's true.
It is.
Now, hashtag number 4.
Hashtag body shapes. Body shapes. The ability to change your body from really big to really, really tall to really, really tiny and getting around anywhere you want to. I'm going to fit through that air vent because I'm really tiny. I'm gonna go through that door because it's locked, but I want to break it down. I can get really big. We can't do that.
No. Also, Strongman from
I am
the
a stick.
Also, Strongman for the X-Force had a heart problem when every time he used his powers, it would give him a heart attack and nearly kill him.
Yep.
Ant-Man would, of course, go insane using his powers. And all you have
And
to
don't
remember,
forget the Hulk. He would always rip his clothes.
the Hulk would always rip his clothes. And according to one story, he will eventually get cancer and die from his own blood. It happens.
But it's
Hashtag-
okay. He'll come back soon enough.
Hashtag-
Issue number so-and-so.
Yes. Colon with an asterisk, and number 3, because I decided to change things up. Regeneration. Healing factors. They don't work like that!
No.
Okay, look, the best use of healing factor is at the end of Logan, where he still has all of his wounds. You're still feeling it. You want the best look of healing and superpowers? Look at Painkiller Jane. She had a healing factor, but still felt all the pain. Also, if I broke your arm and it healed in 5 seconds, it's probably not going to heal correctly, and we're going to have to break it a couple more times just to get the bone to set in the right place, so you're not limp with a sort of bizarre mutant arm that's like going in 13 different directions. Also, Gavin, that's not how that works, and we've had this discussion. That's not how Wolverine's junk works. So, yeah. Now on to hashtag with at number 2.
I just learned something new. Hashtag the posing. There's a lot of poses out there that we just cannot do. Maybe we can do. Maybe there are people who can do it. But I don't have the balance. She doesn't have the balance. He doesn't have the balance. We all don't have the balance to do it. We can't fly in the air and go, whoop. Like, my foot, I can't be on my very tiptoe. Maybe a dancer could do it, but I can't. Not everyone can do the poses that they want to do. And Superman, you suck.
Stop touching the table. You're driving them insane.
I know.
Also, posing gives the villains enough time to aim the gun and shoot you in the face.
Exactly.
That's good times.
Look
So
at me.
our number 1, my hashtag add an asterisk sign with a capital V,
this
is no government regulations. So here's the deal, guys. Imagine a bunch of superheroes, supervillains start showing up. What's going to happen? Hero regulations. Government's going to start regulating all that stuff. You want to become a superhero? You got to start filling out the paperwork because we need to have insurance because you can't just bust up a building without doing all that fun things.
Yep.
Government regulations.
You better sign up here. We're going to put a chip in you. Blah, 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 this. Oh, and don't forget, you're now a criminal because you destroyed half the city, even though you saved us.
Right. Or, you know what, you didn't fill out the proper paperwork. Really good example of this also is One Punch Man from the anime, where actually you have to fill out all the paperwork and literally entire cities go away in like one episode. And yeah, government regulations would totally be a thing. And the fact that in Marvel that actually became such a big plot point that they actually caused a civil war over it, it still would happen, guys.
We're the Avengers now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Give you a hint, guys. Even after that big massive battle, they still would implicate the Hero Registration Act. It would still happen. And most Americans would actually side with it because it would kind of scare the hell out of everybody that somebody could explode and, destroy an entire city block, and yet they'd still be alive.
Pretty much. So everyone, that was our top 10 things right here. And we're about to go up to a little intro of Pocky Box. Stay tuned.
I can't wait to see what I do.
You're going to do something?
I don't know.
Stay tuned.
I have like 3 minutes, okay. Greetings! Welcome! I bet you all wanted to know where the Pocky Box was. It was on vacation. We lost it in the luggage. It was very sad. But this week, since we're talking about indie comics and comic books in general, I have thoughts about comic books, guys. I have lots and lots and lots of thoughts about comic books. 1, comic book adult material. Come on, we really need to stop doing this, guys. At one point, we're probably even going to start having to make indie movies, porn movies of indie comic books because we're desperately running out of all of them. By the way, I'm sorry. Apologies about that. Also, speaking of indie comic books, we love all of them, and you should all read all of them. But remember one thing, guys. If you want to order comic books, check your file. Dragon's Lair has a file literally this big of people's comics. That doesn't help indie guys. That doesn't help Marvel. That doesn't help DC. That doesn't help anybody. Check your freaking files every once in a while, people. This is really, really important. That guy thought he sold that comic book, and it's still sitting in a folder there waiting for it to be bought. Buy your comic books, or else I'm going to be very upset with you. Gavin doesn't want that either. Yes, he does. Also, speaking of comic books, remember, guys, one really, really, really important thing about comic books is don't take them so seriously. Yes, someone may change color. Someone might change gender. A new character might be brought up from an Elseworld that get their own comic books. Look, don't get upset with Spider-Gwen because she finally got her own comic book. Don't get upset with Miles Morales because he's not Peter Parker or happens to be white. Don't get upset with the Elseworld Batman comic books or the Elseworld Superman comic book where he's a communist. Guys, there are other comic books. Your story still exists. You don't have to be upset about this. I assure you, your comic book is still there. And if they do that gigantic reboot like DC likes to do every, once or 2 years, or Marvel every 10 years, guess what? Your back issues still exist, and those characters still exist. They just exist in a reimagining. And by the way, your characters probably were a reboot of those. Also, Marvel, can we stop making Spider-Man cartoons? I know you love doing it, but you have a lot of other characters that deserve a cartoon, and you keep making them. Literally, there is a Spider-Man cartoon every freaking year. You keep making more of them. Give me other characters. You haven't had an X-Men cartoon in a while. Make one of those. You know what? This is the Pocky Box. I'm upset. I'm going to walk away now because Gavin, Stone, and Jeff are going to come back on camera, and we're going to end this show right off.
All right, so as promised, what you're seeing right now, since we did our drive this week, is my baby picture. You're seeing it on the screen right now. It's me flipping the world off, my very first picture. It's online. You won't see it here.
Okay. It's online.
So it's great. I'll show it. I'll
great.
show you.
It's really great, guys.
That's him flipping off. I thought that was.
Well,
Yeah,
this is the one
my
with your
baby
butt in
picture.
the air.
It's kind of like you're
This
doing
is the
a
one
gang
with your
sign.
strawberry.
I'm doing gang signs. So
There are so many
Thug
photos,
life.
and these are going to be online
You'll
later
see
on.
pictures of me so next month we're going to do another fun drive. We're going to give away a fun game. We're having lots of fun. So I want to thank you for coming on and talking about indie comics with us
Always
today.
a pleasure. Thank
Awesome
you.
job.
Once
man.
again, where can they find you?
Look us up at www.halloweenman.com, and of course, look up Halloweenman on Comixology. Also, check out the Castle of Horror podcast and horrormovies.net.
So we have lots of fun. Next week we're going to be talking about theme parks because it's becoming a geek overload of theme parks. Like,
Yeah.
remember
they're
when
like
you just had to name something after like a state? Well, now you've got entire lands devoted to geekdom.
Yeah, because D23 just happened, and they decided to go, you know what?
Here's Star
Not
Wars
one,
Land.
not two. We got three. Like, no, do it just two. Yeah, 2 or 3.
With the potential Zootopia land,
Yeah.
which I think would be awesome.
Yeah, it's 2 to 3 lands we're having.
So up next is a special 1 hour combat creations.
1 hour combat creations to where we're doing a little bit of experimentation on here. We might
They have
do
an hour
a whole hour of
So-
me possibly
burning multiple
burning
times.
and gluing my hands together. No, we're actually going to be doing casting. We both kind of haven't really gone into this field, and we're going to
And
experiment.
of course, you shaved your head for casting.
Actually, this is one of the reasons why, because I was scared my head was going to get burned off. But guys, tune in, and don't forget to always check in on our website and subscribe to our YouTube.
And last but not least, Horrors Zombie Life TV's on at 10 o'clock with a surprise show that I know it's coming, but they don't, so it's going to be quite interesting.
It is quite.
So
it's
stay
gonna be
tuned for
great.
more of the Fanboy TV Block Party all night. And don't forget, in a couple months, we're going to kick off at 6:30 instead of 8 with even more shows. I'm so
What about
excited.
anime?
We have a new anime show coming. We have the Mary Sue game coming with Robin running it, which if you like fan fiction, trust me, you're going to love this show because it's a game show. And Behind the Costume becoming an hour show weekly, and we're back to weekly Ladies in Combat. So lots of fun coming. That's it for this week. Everyone say bye.
Bye,
Bye.
We'll see you guys next week. Stay tuned for more Fanboy TV Block Party all night.